leave my home.
You are going to have to kill me for that to happen.
I warned you.
Finally.
The first God of War just appeared out of nowhere one day and slid neatly into our PS2s. 2 console generations later, this Nordic reboot enters the ring driven by Sony's hype machine, with more fanfare than a wrestling superstar. As gamers around the world hold their breath for the bell, the GCKC wonders if Kratos will be lifting the belt or pinned for the 3 count. Hi firm, welcome to another episode at the Captain's Table. Today we're serving up God of War, the third-person hack-and-slash action-adventure that once again is developed by Sony's first-party support, Santa Monica Studios. Based in the city of the same name, this is their second PS4 exclusive, the first being new IP, The Order 1886. This is the 5th AAA outing for the tattooed Spartan, and it also serves as a reboot for the series as it moves onto the PS4. Kratos has left Greece and immigrated to Scandinavia. He's now on to widow number 2, whose final wish sees him and his adolescent son set out to scatter her ashes. It's only when one of the locals turns up to express his disappointment that Kratos has moved into the neighbourhood and isn't taking part in the annual bum-filling veg-growing fete that this becomes difficult, and ultimately ends in fisticuffs.
You hide out here in the woods like a coward.
The story is told through pre-recorded and real-time in-game cinematics. A storytelling mechanic we're really into that is used here is conversations between the cast members during the less high-octane parts of the game.
That wasn't so bad.
This is most notable between Kratos and his son Atreus. Kratos has changed, and this dynamic between him and his son is a real insight into the evolution of the character. It helps showcase his motivations so Kratos doesn't feel alien to fans of the series.
You've had to kill people before, haven't you? You're used to it.
We do what we must to survive.
The main antagonist is one of the indigenous gods who turns up throughout the story regularly enough to keep us invested. His personal character arc is compelling and links excellently with the Norse mythology that the game uses as source material.
But no!
The game is epically long. Seriously, it's massive. We personally clocked in about 29 hours. Interestingly enough, assuming that you don't die, there are no cuts throughout the whole story, which we think is really brave. Even though there is a definitive end to this story, we feel like it's the beginning act of a new, much larger narrative. That's evidenced by some minor unresolved plot elements, some areas of the game that are still blocked after it's been completed, and gods that are spoken about but not given any screen time. This is a big clue considering the game's title. For example, if the game was called Alcohol-Soaked Mediterranean Party Resorts of War, and Ibiza wasn't in the brochure, it would raise some eyebrows. The game has a central hub that opens up early on to allow our dynamic duo to tackle side missions in any order they want. The hub expands as you complete certain story missions to give you access to the next side missions and story missions in order. Once again, the world is full of areas where Kratos should clearly be able to go but can't. Generally though, the game does a good job of leading you where you need to be without too much drama. In true Spartan style, God of War is brutal. Kratos has no reservations whatsoever when it comes to dismembering his enemies and then ramming the limb back down their throat over and over again, covering himself in claret in the process. This brutality is most apparent when engaging in the epic boss fights, another series staple. The game is not only dripping in blood, it's also dripping in Norse mythology. It's richly detailed. The amount of time the development team have put into research is clearly evident, and it's been interpreted and expanded on like only God of War can. The first, most noticeable difference in this new world is that Kratos seemed to have been stopped at the airport while trying to smuggle his blades of exile into the country. Therefore, he has to replace them with a locally sourced frost axe. This fits well with Kratos' new adventure, and its ability to be thrown and recalled is only mildly overused within some of the puzzle sections. He has a selection of other weapons that he unlocks throughout his quest, including a shield that works as a blocking tool and weapon, adding further depth to the combat, which is satisfying. It doesn't have the reams of combos that previous games in the series had. However, what it does have is a wide selection of moves that can be linked together effortlessly to create the same effect. Once again, it's refreshing that God of War has a very old school gameplay mechanic. It forces you to directly avoid being hit by the myriad of different attacks used by his foes. You can dodge, you can parry, and there's the ever-present evasive roll. Atreus doesn't only add to the story, he also adds a new dynamic to the gameplay. His bow, for example, allows him to fire at targets with a simple command from Kratos, enabling Kratos to continue to deal the pain without having to switch out as per the other God of War titles. QuickTime events are surprisingly light in this installment, favouring a more complex control scheme during the epic confrontations that would usually rely on them. It works well. It's not that we're against QuickTime events, but we feel that if a developer takes the initiative to expand gameplay in this way, it's always a good thing. Anyone who has eyes, and even some people that don't, can see this is absolutely stunning. This review has been captured at 1080 with a standard PS4. However, on a PS4 Pro, on a 4K TV, you will need some sort of trowel implement to scrape your jaw off the floor. It's that good. The character models and animations are exceptional. Kratos might look old now, but that makes no difference. Ask yourself, would you like to fight Bruce Willis? The script and voice acting is also on point, particularly Christopher Judge of SG-1 fame, who delivers a first-rate performance as Kratos.
Faye, what do I do? Our son is not ready.
With most AAA games having an average 3-year dev span, Santa Monica has taken a cool 5 years, and it shows. The way father and son develop throughout God of War is genius. It permeates every aspect of the game, from the story to the gameplay. Watching Kratos learn how to be a father and watching Atreus grow up is spectacular. We can't wait for the next installment of their story.
Only fire when I tell you to fire.
I'm sorry.
This is a real contender for Game of the Year. It's an absolute must-play. Corey Barlog and all the team at Santa Monica Studios, the GCKC salute you.